This story is of a boy who suffered extreme bullying in high school, hence becoming a Shut-in Neet. He lived a vague and hopeless life for the next 5 years. The notion of finding meaning has become an insurmountable challenge. It was during this moment that a dazzling light emerged from thin air. A stunning girl adorned with a flower tiara and dressed in medieval attire materialized before them, offering congratulations. She revealed that, following a successful screening process, it had been decided that the protagonist would be reborn in a different world. The girl further explains that since magic existed in this new world, she would bestow upon him a cheat code to facilitate an easier life. She encouraged the protagonist to embrace his second life to the fullest, reflecting on his desperate desire for a peaceful existence. The protagonist realizes that he must have perished in his room, yearning for a life where he could indulge in games and anime without a sense of time. Learning of his impending reincarnation, the protagonist's excitement became uncontrollable. In this new world, he's reborn as Prince Lionheart. The king gazes at his newborn son with pride, and the midwife reassures him that the baby is healthy. Speaking to his wife, Gisserot, the king cherishes the fact that their newborn possesses a perfect blend of their traits and is undeniably beautiful. The king's crest adorns the baby's chest, confirming that he is indeed their true prince and child. Gisserot playfully chuckles and assures the king that she would never betray him. The protagonist feels an overwhelming sense of happiness upon realizing that these beautiful individuals are his parents, and that he has been reincarnated as royalty. Eager to assess his son's magical abilities, the king immediately summons the royal magician. The king eagerly asks for his son's magical power rating, hoping for a remarkable 40 or even an impressive 50. However, the king is taken aback when he hears that the new prince's magical power is a mere 2. This revelation leaves the king in a state of panic, as it is nearly unthinkable for a royal-born individual to possess such a low level of magic power. To make matters worse, the magician reveals that the prince possesses no attribute and can only utilize barrier magic. Both the king and queen view it as a bleak beginning to their lives and display more anger than joy upon their son's birth. They come to a decision to announce to the world that Prince Lionheart was stillborn. The king angrily orders his servants to take the baby and abandon it in a distant forest. Then the girl/goddess who had appeared earlier returns and examines the statistics displayed on her apparent tablet. She comes to the realization that the child who had just reincarnated and received the cheat code may have misunderstood its implications. Additionally, she notes that the magical power measurement device for the royals only displays 2 digits, causing her to forget that she had set his magic power to 1002, going a bit overboard. Moreover, she realizes that she had neglected to grant him an attribute. Later, Prince Lionheart is transported to a remote forest, abandoned to die. The protagonist, feeling increasingly uneasy after being forsaken and left in the depths of the forest to potentially become prey, acknowledges his vulnerability as a mere baby. However, he recalls his ability to employ barrier magic and determines that it's worth a try for his own survival. Utilizing his newly discovered barrier magic, the prince summons a cube-shaped box and realizes that he possesses the ability to alter its color and size. Curious, he enlarges the cube and enters inside, marveling at the formidable strength of his barrier magic. Suddenly, a menacing wolf emerges, clearly intent on harming him. The prince employs the cube both as a means of protection and as a weapon, effortlessly repelling the wolf's attacks without any harm, befalling the cube. The defeated wolf acknowledges his defeat and acknowledges the prince as the demon lord. Originally a member of the Fenrir clan, the wolf surrenders himself to the prince's authority just as the prince prepares to depart. In a display of mercy, the prince promises not to kill the wolf, and the wolf expresses gratitude for this act, acknowledging the prince's newfound status. Seizing the moment, the prince bestows the name Frey upon the wolf, using only half of its original name. Suddenly, the baby prince tumbles to the ground, causing Frey to panic at the sight of his master falling. With a hint of vulnerability, he explains to Frey that he has not consumed anything since entering this world. Frey, comprehending the infant prince's need for breast milk, acknowledges the unavailability of such sustenance deep within the forest for obvious reasons. Determined to assist his master, Frey decides to undertake a remarkable transformation that even captivates the prince. In an instant, the place where Frey once stood is now occupied by a stunning girl adorned with wolf ears. Unclothed, her prominent breasts catch the prince's attention. Frey proudly announces the successful achievement of assuming a human form. As the girl observes the baby prince, she notices him concealing his face with his hands, his cheeks visibly flushed. Puzzled, Frey fails to comprehend the reason behind the prince's reaction until he requests her to put on some clothes. The clothing worn by Frey is remarkably revealing, clinging to her body with a perfect fit. Understanding that reverting to her wolf form would require a substantial amount of time, she listens as the prince instructs her to provide nourishment since he is hungry. Noticing a zipper on the clothing, she proceeds to undo it, once again revealing her body. This causes Prince Lionheart to lose his composure. With a lighthearted tone, he inquires about the reason behind her action. Frey then explains that breast milk is only produced off the body after the act of reproduction. Realizing her mistake, she hastily apologizes for her impolite and sudden behavior. Suddenly, a noticeable shift occurs in Frey's demeanor as if it has detected something significant. It discerns the presence of someone approaching their location. Frey promptly informs the prince about the impending arrival. Curiosity piqued, Frey poses the question to the prince, asking whether the approaching individual should be eliminated. The prince, however, advises against taking such drastic measures. In that moment, a man emerges from the thick foliage and makes his way toward them. He presents himself as a middle-aged individual, sporting a beard and clad in armor that unmistakably denotes his royal status. His gaze falls upon Frey, who, despite being a girl, possesses distinctive years atop her head. Frey assumes a defensive stance. The man responds by stating that he has come to retrieve the baby. Upon hearing this, Frey's composure shatters, and she vehemently voices her objection, firmly asserting that the man cannot take her master. Stressing the prince's allegiance, Frey firmly declares that she belongs to her. In response, the man reveals that the baby is a relative of his, abandoned by their own family. He asserts that he has come to rescue the baby and take him away. Frey's anger intensifies upon hearing this, demanding to know why the man would seek to save the baby after discarding him. Expressing confusion over human emotions and behavior, Frey struggles to comprehend the man's actions. In an attempt to explain, the man asserts that humans also experience feelings. Recognizing the baby's likely hunger, he offers the milk he had brought along, urging Frey to feed the baby. The man insists that she give him the milk. Excited at the sight of food, the prince looks at the milk with anticipation, prompting him to communicate to Frey to take it. However, this only serves to agitate Frey, who questions whether the man doubts her ability to produce breast milk. Undeterred, the prince reassures Frey of his hunger and implores her to accept the milk. The man dismisses Frey's notion that she can produce milk due to her breasts, calling it foolish. He goes on to explain that she is not capable of single-handedly raising a human baby. This ongoing dispute between the man and Frey incenses the prince, who grows increasingly frustrated. Despite the food being right in front of him, he is unable to partake in it. Frey continues to assert that she won't know her ability to raise the baby until she actually tries, using this as a means to win the argument against the man. In response, the man reveals that he lost his own child for the same reason as the king, and now he seeks to make amends by adopting the prince. He shares that he and his wife also had a child who lacked significant magical powers and was discarded as a result. He emphasizes that, for him, the possession of powers is not as important as the very existence of the baby itself. Moved by the man's poignant tale, Frey is overcome with emotions and tears stream down her face. In a heartfelt response, she expresses her willingness to care for the child, and the man suggests that she can become his personal assistant in raising the baby. Sealing their agreement, the man formally accepts Frey and the prince, and they depart together. After a span of 9 years, Prince Lionheart finds himself under the guardianship and protection of Margrave Gold. He initially planned to leave them the first chance he got, but given how caring the family is towards him, he couldn't. The family includes Gold, his wife, and a young daughter. Though despite great efforts, Hart can't seem to gain the trust of his sister Charlotte. At dinner, on the table, she seems to express her desire to play with Frey afterwards, but the latter declines, giving reason that she needs to attend to her master Hart. To this, Hart immediately requests that she play with his little sister, after which she happily complies. As the two play in the garden outside, Hart looks at them from afar, still a bit let down on not being able to get his sister to open up to him. Seeing him like this, his mother comes up to console Hart, telling him to give Charlotte a little more time. She has always found it difficult to communicate with men older than her. This gets Hart in shock for a moment, thinking of the possibility that Charles might know that he's actually a full-grown man inside. Scared, he drops to the floor, hoping that is not the case. Worried about his children, the mother takes matters into her own hands, promising to do everything to get the siblings closer to each other. Sometime later, Hart sits in his room pondering over how he might leave this house without hurting anyone's feelings. For this purpose, he had created an identical doll of himself, but can't seem to get it working with his barrier magic. As Hart is perplexing over this situation, Gold comes knocking. He invites Hart out into the garden and offers to train him firsthand. Since the latter lacks magical attributes, honing his battle skills is a must if he wishes to prove himself to the world. The dad hands over a wooden stick to his son, both taking battle stances. Hart goes first, charging at his opponent with a barrier-enforced sword. The attack misses Gold, but the impact from it leaves a nice big hole in the ground. Perplexed at how a mere level 2 like Hart could deliver such a blow, Gold decides to test his son's limits. Still holding back, he slashes at Hart, which the latter masterfully evades. An attack of such caliber couldn't have been dodged by anyone less than a level 30, so how is this possible, thinks Gold. Has Hart unconsciously awakened some mysterious powers? All these questions, but the answer remains a mystery still. For now, he asks Hart to continue training. Later that night, a worried Gold brings this matter up to his wife. He explains the mysterious strength their son displayed earlier. This follows a revelation that Hart's original royal family was rumored to have been involved with demons and such creatures, so it's a possibility that Hart might be a byproduct of such a union. The mother, however, is quick to dismiss the notion, saying there's no way their son is a demon. After all, he possesses no demonic features. Gold holds his wife, reassuring her that she's right, although a nearby half-asleep Charlotte is seen overhearing this conversation. The end for now. Thanks for watching. If you like this recap, please consider to like and subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to be notified of any new recaps. And while you're at it, check out this new anime recap appearing on the screen.